Hey, what's up, guys? It's Logan from Gap Games. I've got another game here for you from our recent locals. I believe this is the finals match. We have a double yellow mirror, Mando Yellow versus Kaz Yellow. These are two decks that aren't really super meta, so it should be interesting to see how they operate. Just recently got back from the Richmond Sector qualifier, made day 2 with a 6-2 record, ended up 9-3. I actually was on stream the last match of the Swiss against John Tata from KTOD. He was on Kira and I was on Quinlan Rebels, and that was a very rough matchup. So if you saw it, you know exactly what I'm talking about. Decent run overall, though. Very close to top 8. Ended up 18th in that event, but it was a good time. A few people from our team made day 2. Went down with 10 or 11 guys from our locals here, and we had a decent conversion, all things considered. So shout out to those guys over at the Portal and Jaff. And actually, funny enough, 2 of the 3 of us that made day 2 got showcases. The one guy, Jeff, was on Kylo Red, Tarkentown, and the other guy, DDA, was on Mace Red, and he also has a YouTube channel, Random Number Gaming. I'll put that in the description so you can check out his deck tech on that. But anywho, here we are in the game. Start out with a couple space units over on Bill's side for Mando, and an L337 from Harrison. I've had a Harrison on every single match video so far, I think, now that I'm thinking about it. This is the Harrison that played Han Yellow the one time. This is not the guy who played Anakin or what was the other one? Piet. So Harrison likes his double yellow. This time he's on Kaz, though. See where we start off. I think in this matchup, it's going to be, they're both just going to be going for base. They're not really going to be looking to control necessarily, just more so disrupt while enacting their aggressive game plan. They're both kind of similar in that regard, I think. You know, these double yellow decks are looking to play Cunnings and Cantina Bouncers and Bodies and things like that to keep their opponent off curve as much as they can, or awkwardly disrupting their turns while still putting out damage. So we'll see who can do it faster here. It's been a couple weeks since I've done one of these videos, partly because of the sector qualifier, and then the following week was my wife's 30th birthday. So between that and then also getting sick after the sector qualifier that I'm still somewhat recovering from, it's been kind of tough getting out videos, but I have a couple more still saved that I should hopefully be able to work on after this one. And next week, I will be going back to our locals, and I should be able to record some more matches. I actually have a really good one in the vault right now from, I think, 2 weeks ago against Bosk Blue, and I was playing my Quinlan Rebels, and that match was really good. I'll probably try and get that one up next. It was a really good showcase of that matchup and how it can be very back and forth and very swingy, and how you can approach it from both sides. So definitely look out for that one, and drop a sub if you want to be able to see that when it goes out. All right, so back to the match here. We have L3 going into base. Right now, the two are just racing as we kind of expected. But Bill, he definitely has a major advantage right now as far as board presence goes and total damage output. He was able to play 2 1-drops on the first turn and then a Bodhi on the second turn. And now he's doing a hot shot for 5 with Bodhi. And hot shot is one of those all-star cards in the Mando deck because it allows you to attack immediately, buff your unit, and exhaust one of your opponent's units all in one action. So great for racing. And just the fact that he already has 8 damage on base with 2 more units that haven't even attacked yet this turn, and Harrison's just getting out his third unit now is not a good sign for Harrison on his side. Granted, his leader does deploy 2 turns earlier, so he's going to have this essentially free unit to try and tie up this race. But Bill is just putting on even more pressure. Another cartel turncoat. And here we see Harrison with Akira. I don't think either of the cards in Bill's hand, the new Millennium Falcon or the Shuttle Tyridium, I think it's called, neither of those are a huge threat. So we'll see what he names. He goes with Cunning, which I think is actually a really good choice. Even though it's not in Bill's hand right now, that is definitely the one card that would absolutely seal this game. And it's already an uphill battle to begin with, so you don't want to make it any harder than you have to. But now Harrison's starting to build up his own little board presence here. He's got some good threats in play right now, but this Bodhi being a 5/3 just makes it very awkward. Like, he doesn't want to trade this Kira he just played, most likely. And none of his other units kill it currently unless they get buffed. So that's a big point of pressure right now. And then Bill also has the only space presence right now. Harrison doesn't have anything out there. So he's facing down 5 damage in space and 5 damage on the ground. And here's a snapshot reflexes. This card is another one. It's basically like the hot shot, the reason why that card's good. It buffs, it attacks immediately, and it exhausts with Mando ability. So he just got in for 6 in one action there, while also exhausting down that L3 for the turn, which is probably a good target because L3, if he got like his own blaster or something, could trade into the Bodhi without dying. But here we'll see if he wants to trade off this Kira. Bodhi's actually a 6/4 now, so he would need to buff her to do that. And it looks like he's just going to go base. I think I saw one of the new set 4 Han units in Harrison's hand, which as a 4/5 with ambush would be able to take out this Bodhi. I don't know if he wants to spend his entire turn on that, but he might honestly not have a choice. Even though it feels kind of bad to spend 5 resources to kill this thing. And, you also then lose your unit too. Right now, he can't just keep taking 6 a turn from this guy. And here Bill plays the new Falcon. So he's building even more of a space threat right now. At this point, I think Harrison just has to ignore space and try and race faster. But yeah, here we see that Han. I mean, I have to imagine it's trading into Bodhi. Yeah. So there he at least takes out the biggest threat on the board right now. That's 6 damage a turn that he is preventing at least. And he's down by 10 damage though. He's going up to 20 here. Bill's only on 10. So it's going to be tough unless he draws his own Cunning or something like that to come back from this. And now Mando also is deploying next turn. There's that to think about as well. So if Harrison does draw Cunning, he can essentially get rid of 3 units attacking next turn, which would likely be enough to at least survive. But whether or not he's then also finishing the game next turn in his own favor is pretty unlikely. And I don't think he drew a Cunning based on what I see in his hand here. So I think without that, this one's kind of just a wrap. He's facing down 8 damage in space plus the 4 from Mando. And that's not even factoring in any upgrades that could come in as well. Regardless, I think this is either going to be the last turn or the second to last turn of this game in either player's favor. We'll see. Looks like Bill has initiative, so we'll see what he starts off with. I have a few more big events coming up before this season ends. I'm going to be doing a couple PQs in my area. And of course, the showdowns at my 2 locals that we've seen featured on the channel here. I've gone to every one of those since set 1, and they're always a good time. I'm going to try and record some of the matches from our 2 store showdowns. We have a lot of really strong players in our area, like I was saying before. When I was talking about the sector qualifier thing, like we have some really, really strong players. So I think we can get some good matches out of those. I doubt I'll be able to record at the PQs I'm going to, since I believe they'll likely have streaming already set up. And I don't know if they would want anyone else encroaching on that. So I'll probably just leave that alone. But I plan on playing Han Green at the store showdowns. I've played him at every store showdown since pretty much set one, with one exception, and I've had pretty decent success. So I'm gonna try and run it back. And here we see, I think this is just gonna be the end of this game here. He on Bill's side, he played the Boshak, revealing 2 Falcons, so he just drew 2 cards. Mando's flipping, and I'm pretty sure he had enough damage just on board as it was. So we're gonna move on to game 2 here, and we'll see. It looks like Harrison's on initiative. Makes sense. No reason to give it away. This isn't like a Quinlan matchup or something. And we'll see how these players start off. We got a Leia readying a resource. So we'll see if he has a 1-drop too. That's definitely one of the stronger lines you can have with Leia. And we see an R2D2. So 2 kind of unassuming threats, but still 3 power and 6 health in play on turn 1 is very good. And Bill only has a Republic Y-Wing, so it's not like he really was competing too much as far as unit quality. He does have a Leia of his own in hand, I saw on Bill's side, so I don't know if he just drew that or if he just opted not to do the double unit turn 1. But here we see a Bodhi, and it's going to whiff. No events in Harrison's hand. So not as good as last game's Bodhi. And Harrison also definitely has a much better board on this second turn compared to last game. And we're just going to see him getting aggressive here. Leia going to base. Bill, yeah, there's no reason not to attack here because Harrison's definitely not ending the phase right here. So he's just going to get 1 on base himself with the Republic Y-Wing. And now Bill's likely to claim, and Harrison's just going to play out his Stolen AT Hauler. Very good card right now. The 3 cost 4/5, and being able to turn off the downside with Kaz is very good. And this turn, he can actually pilot Kaz onto that AT Hauler, making it a 7/8 with no downside if he is able to use leader ability. And that might be just a lot to overcome on Bill's side, with just considering he has a 1/3. I don't see how he kills this AT Hauler with a Kaz on it anytime soon. So we'll see what he's going to do here. He's got Han Pilot. Okay. So he can put some damage on the Hauler, or he's just going to go base. He's just going to race here. The 3. I don't know if putting any damage on the Hauler is worth it here, but it might have been. His Republic Y-Wing would have lived having 6 health, but now we'll see here if he's going to go for the Has piloting line on Harrison's side. Might turn off abilities first since it gives you a free action. Really no reason not to. Kira. All right. Interesting. Okay. So Bill is playing a Shadowed Intentions, I think that card is. That's one you don't see very often, but if any deck is going to play it, I guess Mando would be the one. And Harrison names Leia here, so that means he's in the clear for this Kaz piloting on the Hauler, and he doesn't have to worry about it getting exhausted by Leia at this point. So I'm sure Bill is probably just going to play out this Cartel Turncoat, hope to maybe give some kind of bait to get Harrison to attack it, or if not, then at least just have another threat in play. But right now, it's it's looking pretty grim. Even though he's ahead in damage right now, he's going to be behind very quickly when this Kaz starts getting in for 7 on the hauler. And here we see the flip. Probably just going to go 7 base. I don't think Harrison ever gets distracted by that kind of stuff. Okay. Yeah, that's a big threat now. That's going to be a lot to deal with here, especially since Mando himself, he does not deploy until 6. So there's still another turn waiting on that one. And Harrison's got 13 power in play right now with Bill on 11 damage. So he's actually close to having enough. All right. Ooh, okay. Mandalorian pilot is actually very good here, exhausting 2 things. One with the Mandalorian himself, and then one with the leader version, triggering off the upgrade. He's going to exhaust his AT hauler and Leia. So that was a very, very strong sequence there. I forgot that card even existed. It's so new. But here's a Cunning. This is going to be a blowout, most likely. So is this going to be a double exhaust? And then give something +4. He could also bounce the Republic Y-Wing and give something +4. Now we're just going to go the tempo here. So gives the R2 +4/+0. So now if he wants to, I think that's smart actually, because if you put it on Kira and Bill just has any way of trading this Bodhi into Kira by like pumping her or pumping him somehow, now you've pretty much put all your eggs in one basket, but at least now he's kind of spreading out the damage. So he's going to go in for 5 with this R2, and then Kira is going to be able to get in for 3. And Bill does play this Shadowed Intentions on the Cartel Turncoat. So that's going to make it into a 5/4 with the ability that it can't be, I believe, defeated, bounced, or captured, I want to say. I don't have the animation on screen right now, so I'm just going off of memory here, but I believe that's what that card does. So at least he's now unable to get waylaid, but I don't know how much that's really going to help at this point. Right now, Harrison has put on a lot of pressure and he has several threats in play. But so does Bill, I guess, too. He's got, what is that, 11 power of his own. So that's not nothing. I think if he has his own Cunning, he could definitely swing this race back in his own favor. We'll see how Bill starts off here with initiative. He's got a few possible plays that could definitely turn the tempo in his favor between exhausting and, doing multiple things with one action, which it looks like he is going to be doing that. So Bodhi is going to be getting in for 5 with a hot shot blaster. Mando's going to exhaust R2. Not sure how much it's going to really matter, but he would have exhausted the Leia, who has 1 extra power just by default. But it's very possible he might be playing around something I'm not thinking of by exhausting the R2 instead. But here we go. So Harrison's got 4 resources going. I see a Cunning in hand. I think that's going to be it for sure. So he's going to go double exhaust +4 again, putting the +4 on Kira. So now he's got 2 7 power threats plus a Leia. Here's Mando flip. I think it's too little too late now. He's not going to be able to exhaust the AT hauler with Mando regardless. So he's going to go 4 base, and I think it's just a formality at this point. Harrison's just going to go 7 with the hauler, and that's going to be it for game 2. 2 Cunnings there was definitely going to be very hard to beat regardless. So I don't know what outs Bill really had after the second one. But here we are moving on to game 3. Bill's on initiative, so he's going to start off with a cartel turncoat. And Harrison is starting off with his own cartel turncoat. I think I saw Greedo too, so that's a really good start for Harrison here. 5 power on the first turn is a lot. Bill is definitely going to need a strong follow up here if he doesn't want to fall too far behind. He does have initiative, so he's got that. I think I see a Cunning in Bill's hand, but I'm not too sure. Yeah, I definitely see a Cunning in his hand, a Bodhi. I can't tell what the last 2 cards are. We're going to find out one of them right now, I think. Looks like it's an R2 pilot. Okay, so that means that his turncoat now can take out Harrison's turncoat if he wants and still survive. He can also exhaust the Greedo, but it looks like he's deciding on, yeah. I think Greedo's the right choice there because there's nothing he can really do about that. And he's more power than the other turncoat is. So here I think Bill might want to just take out the opposing turncoat, draw a card, and keep the board at parity here. Ooh, all right. We got a Bodhi getting a Waylay, and we see a Falcon and a Han. So that might change things a little bit. He could still take out the turncoat, but then his dies to the Falcon. Looks like he wants to just go the racing route. I'm not sure what the right call is there, because I think if Harrison's going after his turncoat with the Falcon, he's not in bad shape. They're both going to draw a card if both the turncoats die, and then he's at least preventing the damage on base, but I can see an argument for both. Now, interestingly here, Harrison seems to have taken initiative instead of getting in damage with the Falcon, so he wants first action. Makes me wonder what he's got. It could be another Cunning of his own, or something like Kira to try and prevent whatever play Bill is going to make on this turn, because if Bill only has one card that he can play on 4 resources, then Kira can essentially just time walk him. And notably, he did use Kaz on the Falcon, so he's not going to have to pay the tax. So he can still play a 4 this turn and keep the Falcon in play. So he might go something like Kaz ability onto the turncoat to at least turn off the downside, and then play something for 4, or maybe even pilot right away. I don't know. But since Bill wasn't willing to take the trade on the turncoat last turn, I'm assuming he probably won't do it this turn either, if given the chance. So that might not be necessary. We'll see, though. Harrison's thinking about this turn here. This is kind of one of those turns where you can tell this is going to be a big decider in how this one's going to play out. I found with this game in particular, Star Wars Unlimited, that there are many times where one single turn was the deciding point, where it all kind of either went uphill or downhill from there, and it really decided the whole game. So it's important to be deliberate here. So he does turn off, I believe, turncoat with Kaz, and then pilots Han onto Falcon to get the first strike on Bill's turncoat, which that is a massive swing. So now he draws a card, takes out Bill's only space threat, and keeps his Falcon healthy. And now he can pilot Kaz onto his own turncoat if he wants. But Falcon should not be bounceable here off of Cunning, because it has to have 4 power or less. I think they're realizing that now. So we'll see what he decides to do instead. I'm assuming he's still going to play the Cunning, So he's just going to go double exhaust +4 on Bodhi, which I think probably is the best you could ask for. And here's a bamboozle. So that's just rough. The Bodhi did not get any value. And Harrison, instead of just trying to get the extra power on the pilot side of Kaz, he's just going to go ground and get in for 2 just to get his value right away. Plus, he turns off the Falcon tax by doing it this way, which is important. So he can still play a 5 this turn and keep Falcon in play. And now Bill, again, this is another case of the 4 deploy versus 6 deploy is just really, really brutal. The leaders being essentially just a free unit, whether their abilities are relevant or not, can just be a huge factor in this kind of a matchup where Kaz is coming down, getting in the extra damage, the extra value for 2 turns before Mando does. But here we see Bill at least getting the Cantina Bouncer on the Falcon. So preventing 5 damage, but Harrison can still replay it and get in 3 instead. But at least then he's wasting some of his resources. And being at no resources himself now, Bill is probably not going to be able to do anything else other than attack with Bodhi. So if Harrison wants, he could go Greedo into Bodhi and just prevent that. But I think he's far enough ahead now that he probably just wants to go push damage at this point. We'll see what he does. We know he has the Falcon in hand now. And yep, he's going 3 base with the Greedo because that's the only thing that Bodhi can kill right now. And Bill, I think he has correctly assessed that he just needs to try and race and hopefully draw another Cunning. Probably his best shot at coming back from this. And here's the Falcon again. We have another pilot. Yes, we do. It's a Mandalorian pilot this time. So that's going to mean this Falcon's getting in for 6 this turn. And Kaz shuts off his own unit's abilities. So again, no Falcon tax. And he got in for a total of, was that 8 in space, 5 on the ground that turn, so 13. That was a huge, huge damage swing. And him having another pilot for that Falcon just meant that was essentially like a surprise strike right there, which is why these pilots are so strong. The amount of flexibility to just be able to choose what's best at any given time, whether you want to upgrade something or just play it as a ground unit if you need another unit in play. Anything that gives you multiple options tends to be good, which is why like Cunning, Vigilance, Command, and Aggression are also strong as well. Now, Bill had a Leia to exhaust this Millennium Falcon, but then Harrison just follows up with a Han pilot on the Cartel Turncoat and gets in for 4 anyway. We'll see if this Mando deploy... Oh, no, we're going to take back the Mando deploy. We're going to go 3 base. That's interesting. If Mando deploys, he could at least exhaust something. But now, Mando deploy means that Harrison can just get in this last attack with Kaz, and now the exhaust isn't going to do anything. Not that I don't know if it's really even going to matter at this point, but just a interesting note. It definitely looks like the writing's on the wall here, though. Harrison's only on 9 damage on base, and Bill has 24. Granted, he has 7 more power in play, so we can get Harrison up to 16 this turn, but he's actually dead first action to this Falcon if he can't get rid of it. And yeah, here's a stolen hauler too. So, I mean, there's just too many threats now. The Boshek maybe could find something like a waylay. There's a confiscate. Confiscate the Mandalorian pilot, and he at least doesn't die first action next turn. But even with a Cunning, I don't know if that's enough. I don't think it would be. Even if he kills Greedo right now, like say with the Cantina Bouncer, there would be 4 units left in play. Cunning could let him survive another turn with a double exhaust bounce. And he's only taking a hit from 1 unit next turn. It looks like he might try to salvage this one. He's going to go 3 into Greedo. Greedo hits though, so that means he can finish off this Cantina Bouncer, which really is just salt in the wound at this point. He's going to put 4 damage on base, at least try to run up the damage before the game ends here. And it's basically Cunning or bust right now for Bill. And if Harrison has any pumps, that's also irrelevant. We will see. There's 4 base. So he's going up to 28. Does he have the Cunning? I don't see it in his hand. But I think this game is pretty much a wrap at this point. Bill's just checking his options here, making sure he's not missing anything, which is the right thing to do. Because it would always be a bummer if you had an out and just didn't realize it because you were rushing. But from what I'm seeing here, it looks like there is pretty much no out to this game. So Harrison's going to take this match 2-1, and I appreciate you guys for letting me record this one. And that being said, if you liked this video, please drop a like. And if you want to see some more, leave a comment and a sub. And I'll catch you in the next one.